Hi guys, welcome to another Divi theme video. This is Jamie from System 22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. This is another in our series of Divi for Beginners videos, and you can find the link to that playlist just down below this video. Well, today we're going to show you how to make this full width, full screen hero section. It's got my logo, a little bit of information there, a couple of buttons on it. It's got a little button down here that if you click on it, it'll take you to the section below. There's that contact form we did yesterday. Now they call this a hero section because it's the first thing that you're going to see on your website, and usually it's what they call above the fold, which is an old newspaper term that means it's the first thing you see. When they used to deliver newspapers, they were great big format newspapers. They'd fold them in half, and the stories that were on the top were called the above the fold stories. That was the first thing you'd see. So let's get started. Really easy to do, and you can get some really dramatic results. Let's enable the Visual Builder. Okay, let's go down, and I'll delete this, and we'll start from scratch. So let's add a new section, and for this today, I'm going to hit the little blue button for a section, but I'm going to select a full width section, a little purple button over here. When you select a full width section, you've got a lot fewer options, but these are all specifically enhanced to be full width. The one I'm looking for today is full width header. Just left click on it. And there it is. It pops it in right there. I've got my little builder dock to the side here. For anybody that doesn't know, you can put this thing wherever you want. If I undock it, you can have it floating around. You can have it anywhere you want. But to make it easier for you to see, I think I'll dock it on that left side. Okay, well this is the bit that it's put in right here. When you first open it, it's going to take you to the Content tab. Put in whatever you want your title to be there. As you can see, that's changed that right there. Subtitle, if you want one, you can pop down below here. And you may have noticed there's a button there right now. Here's button 1. Put in what you want the button to say there. And if you want a second button, just go down below. Put in what you want to say there. Once you put something in there, that second button's going to turn up just like that. I might want to put that as a lowercase. Down below, obviously, this is the text section that you've got here. Put in whatever you want to say. And it's your usual WYSIWYG WordPress type thing. You can bold, italicize, make bullet points, make headings if you want to, add media if you want to. I'm going to leave mine just like that. If you want to add an image, you can do so down below. If you want to put your logo in there, click Add Image. I've got a version of my logo up here. Now here's the thing, that's pretty big, that logo. Anytime you load an image, you can roll down to the bottom here and select the size that you want under size right there. At the moment, it's set to full size, which is 1472 by 400, which is way too big. I want mine to be maybe 300 by 82. That'll work fine for me. Let's hit that upload. And it's popped my little logo in there. That's fine. If you want to add a secondary image, you can do so right here. And you can pop it in. And it'll pop it on the right side by default. You can switch these around. I'll show you how to do that in a moment. And that will be in design and alignment. Now down below our images, we've got links. That's pretty important. Here's the link for your button 1 and your button 2. Now obviously, put the URL where you want to take your people for button 1 there. Button 2 right there. If you want them to be able to click anywhere on this module and go somewhere, you can put a URL in the module link URL right there. Always best practice, if you're linking to your own site, leave it in the same window. If you're linking off-site, open it in a new tab. That way your site's going to stay open. Great. Well, down below, we've got background. And we've got a whole video on backgrounds. Have a look at that if you're not sure what's going on here. Basically, we've got color, gradients, images, videos, background patterns or background masks, and you can mix and match several of these together. I'm going to keep mine fairly simple today. Let's pop an image in the background. And let's just use that same one as I used before. Now you may notice that It's a great picture, but our writing and things like that are getting a little lost in there because it's so busy. It's kind of detracting from the text. We've got a couple of options that we can do here. And if you saw our background videos, you probably know what I'm going to do. If we go back to our color here, there's a default blue in there. You can put any color you want in there. In fact, let's, just for a bit of fun, put a purple in there. And then what you can do, go back to the image, click on the image tab. And if we roll down, we can choose to blend that color with the image. And there's amazing settings here. I'm going to use multiply and watch what happens to that image and text. It's multiplied that purple color with the image. And now our text is a lot more readable. If I take that back off, you've got things, options for parallax and things like that. And we did a video on parallax. If I switch that on, haven't got a lot of rolling room here. That's CSS parallax. That background image is staying where it is when you roll down the screen there. If you like that, you can put that on. There's another one called true parallax, which will make them both move at a slightly different rate. So the front of the site is moving at a different rate than that image. It is moving, but it's moving at a different rate. Those are great little features to have. I'm actually going to use my blend mode for mine today. And like I say, you can get some crazy effects. The one I usually use is multiply there. So it just multiplies that color with the image. But they've got some fantastic options down here. Difference. Luminosity is one I use quite often. Go through, play with these, make it how you wish. I'm going to pop that back on screen, on multiply. Well, we've got almost to the end of our content tab there. Admin label is just the name of this module. If I flip to back end or wireframe mode as they call it, hit the little purple button. On the left hand side, you'll see a little icon called wireframe view. If you click on it, it'll take you to the back end. Here's our little contact form at the top. Here's our full width header. Now the admin label is just the name that it appears there. And if you've got multiple things on a page, which I quite often do, it's not a bad idea to name things like that. Not so much on sections, but certainly if you've got multiple modules of all the same things, if you've got 20 blurb modules, it's a good idea to name them. Okay, well, let's flip back to our desktop mode. And of course, with Divi, you can build on tablet and mobile if you prefer. I'm going to flip back to desktop. Okay, let's roll back down. There we were. And we'll move on to our design tab here. First tab is layout. And as I mentioned earlier, this is aligned left at the moment. You can choose to have it centered, which will put everything, stack it on top of each other like that. Or you can have it on the right, and that'll put the image on the left and the text on the right. That's quite a nice little feature right there. But to be honest with you, I don't particularly want that image on there. I like to just have the info and a couple of call to actions buttons, but that's an option. So I'm going to go back to the content. I'm going to go back to images. I'm going to get rid of this fella right here. A little trash can, if you hover over it, gone. Okay, back to design and layout where we were just now. I'm going to pop this in the middle. Now here's a great little feature. This is something you can do with code in any section, but they've actually added a button. If I flip this make full screen switch to on or yes, this hero slider is now the full height and full width of any screen that it's viewed on. And it's added the automatic amount of margin padding all around. That's a cool little feature right there. I'm going to leave mine just like that. If you want to, you can add a little scroll down icon. We had that on us originally. Just flip that to on. As it's a scroll down, they give you a bunch of scroll down arrows to choose from here. Choose the one you want. Popped it in there. And what this does, when they click on it, if this is at the top of the page, and I'll demo this in a while, click on it, it'll take you to the section down below, which is great for feeding your customers down the site. You can choose the color of it right here. I'm going to leave mine on the white, and also the size right here. Make it bigger or smaller, whatever works for you. And as with most settings in Divi, if you do something and you don't like it, just delete it. It'll return to its default state. Great. We've got image down here. We're not actually using an image, but this does pertain to the logo as well. It's not going to do much if I put round borders on there. If you had your image in there, you could put round borders on it. Make sure the chain's checked. It'll do all corners at once. But you can put a border around it if you want to. I don't particularly want one around mine, but I'll show you just to demonstrate. This one does all four: top, right, bottom, and left. You can do these all individually. So if we give it, say, 2 pixels, white all round, you can see it's put a little box around my logo there. Like I say, I'm not too interested in having all that. But what you can also do is just undo that. If you just want to underline it, you can put one on the bottom. Or if you wanted to encase it in a couple of lines, you could put one on the top as well. But like I say, I'm not too interested in having that there. That's just a little option for you. Let's take those away. Great, and obviously you've got colours here and border styles, the usual dotted, dashed, etc. right there. I don't need any box shadow on it, because like I say, it's going to add it to that logo, and it's probably not going to look too good if I just add one. It'll show you. Let's make that colour bright so you can see it. Let's make it white perhaps. Puts it around there. That's a transparent PNG image, and it just puts it around the outside of there. Let's just take that away. It may work for your logo, who knows. We got filters here. You can do crazy things with filters. Image hue, you can change it. It won't do too much to a white colour. If I invert it, it'll turn it black. But I'm happy not to use any filters on this. We'll be doing a whole video on filters. Overlay. Here's another option. Let's just go back to my content, back down to the background. I'm going to click on my image right there. I'm going to take that blend away, so it's back how it was. Remember, we put it on multiply. I'm going to pop that back to normal. There's the regular picture. I just want to show you what the overlay does. It's another option to make your writing stand out a little bit more. So let's go down. Overlay. You can choose a color. If you want to choose that same purple, you can do that, and it puts a purple color over the top of the image. If you click, left click on the color field, and this is common to every color in everything, you can take the opacity down. What that's going to do is make the background bleed through. The more I take it down, the more it's going to bleed through. And you can see that writing nicely. Take it down to you can still see that writing nicely. My option usually for an overlay would be black. If we change that to black, and now do it, you keep the integrity of your picture, but it's just a little bit dark. Just take it down to where you can see as much or as little of that writing as you want, but still make out that picture. That's pretty cool. Like I say, that's another little option for you. I'm going to take that off by just making it fully transparent. I'm going to go back, put that blended color back on. Background, image, there's the color. Well, I used multiply. Okay, great. Well, we're getting there. This is looking like something now. If we keep going down, we've got text. And here you can change it from light to dark. It's some basic features here, but it'll do both your title and your text at the same time. I'm going to leave mine all light. I don't particularly want to add any text shadow, so I'll add it to both the title and the text there. If we roll on down, we can do our title text and body text separately. And any time you're in a module, if you roll over, you will see some little blue circles with a little paintbrush on there. And they're all attached to something. This is attached to the header, that's attached to the logo, this is attached to the subtitle, this is attached to the text, and these are attached to the buttons. Anytime you click on any of these, it'll take you straight to that particular thing, and you can edit it to your heart's desire. Let's take that up a little bit. And just increase the line height so we've got more space below. However you want to do it. Okay, like I say, title text and body text you can change individually. And of course, Divi has got a crazy amount of fonts. To audition one, just roll over it. It'll give you an example of that font. I'm going to leave mine on the default today. You can change the weight of it. Obviously, how heavy it is, whether thick or thin. Depending on what font you use, you'll have different options here. You can italicize, capitalize, upper or lowercase capital if you want to, underline, strike through if you want to. I'm going to leave mine just as it is. And you've got exactly the same options for your titles as well. Obviously, color is color, alignment's alignment. You can change your text size there. Body letter spacing, self-explanatory. If you want to space out the letters, you can do that. Body line height, we just saw that. That adds space above and below to give things breathing room. And text shadow, I don't think I want to do that today. And you've got subtitle text down below, where we were just now. Now the buttons, you can style these buttons however you wish. The reason they're orange and blue, that's the way I set them up in my customizer. And have a look at the video on setting up your initial settings if you want to learn how to do that. But any of these buttons in any module can be styled any way you like. Just go into where it says button, hit the little switch to customize, and you can change the text size, the text color, the background color, and for a hover color, we covered this as well. This is common to all Divi modules. If you hover over the dark writing within a module, you'll see some little icons appear. If there's a little arrow, we can set one value for desktop when the mouse is not on it, and a completely different value for hover when the mouse is on it. So for instance, I've got a blue here on hover, and an orange here when the mouse is not on it. Reason there's no colors showing up, it's dictated by my customizer at the moment. You can add borders to your buttons if you want to. Change them from being rounded to square, however you like. At the moment, I've got 50 pixels, which is making it rounded. If I make it 0, it's going to make it completely square. And again, if you don't like what you've done, just delete that. It'll go back to how it was. In a minute, I'll show you, perhaps you've got different amounts of text in your buttons. Let's change that from contact us to just contact. You can actually make these buttons the same width, even if they have different amounts of text. This is kind of not really a beginner's thing, but I'll show you for anybody who's interested. I go back into my text and just take us away from the contact there. You'll see the learn more is obviously longer than the contact. We'll fix that in a moment. Okay, we're in our design tab. We just finished the buttons. Sizing, you can decide how wide or not wide you want that content. For instance, if I slide it down, you'll see it shrinking inwards. I'm happy for it to be on the default. The actual width of the module itself, you probably don't want to change this as it's a full width one. But if you do, you can make it smaller and then you can align it wherever you want it on your page. Obviously, this is a full width, full screen slider, so I want mine to be full width, full screen. I'm going to delete that value. Great. You can choose to have it get no bigger than in max width. You can choose to have it get no shorter than in max height. You can give it a fixed height where it'll always be the same height. Again, I'm not going to do any of this because we've got this set to be full screen on all devices. And you can also give it a max height that it will not get bigger than. Spacing down below. You can add margins. Margins are to the outside of whatever you're adding them to. So for instance, if I put a 100 pixels margin on top, it'll put 100 pixels of white space or whatever the background color is on the top here. Just put in the 100, it'll put in the pixel for you. As you can see, this has pushed this down from the top of the screen there. Padding is the internal, from the inside of the module to whatever the content is. For instance, if I put perhaps 200 here, it'll just push that system 22 down there. So let's put in 200. Boom, and it's just added 200 pixels to the top there. I'm happy with the way it was. You can put a border around this thing if you want to. You will see it on the bottom if you put one there. I'm not going to bother with that. We know how to do borders. I showed you that with the images and things just now. Same with box shadow. I'm not going to use any box shadow on this. If I flip it up to the top, it may be worthwhile doing that. Looks like we've still got a bit of space up there. That might be a caching issue. Let's just check that spacing. Yeah, that's just a little caching issue. That'll go away when we save, I'm sure. Okay, border, don't want any of that. Box shadow, we covered. Filters, I'm not going to use any filters on this. Like I say, you can get some crazy things going with colors and things using filters. And you can write CSS animations as well. We've done that in previous videos to make these colors change in real time. Saturation is the richness of the color. And again, if you don't like what you've done, you know what to do. Just delete it. Brightness, self-explanatory. Contrast is the difference between the darks and the lights. The higher the contrast, the darker the darks, and the whiter the whites. And the opposite applies if you drag it back the other way. Invert will invert those colors to their opposites. And again, you can get some crazy effects doing that. Sepia is oldie worldy photograph. It'll make photographs look like they're faded over time. So if I pull that up, it sort of washes out the color there. There's still a hint of the color. It's not actually black and white, but it washes it out. If you wanted to make it black and white, take your saturation all the way down to 0. Bunk. You've got a black and white image. It's like an old sci-fi movie, doesn't it? Okay. Moving on down, opacity. We don't need to use that. That'll just make it disappear into the background. And blur will make it look like I've lost my glasses. I don't think I need that. Okay, transform. We don't need any of this. I'll be doing whole videos on this. Basically, you can make things bigger or smaller. You can rotate them, skew them, or flip them around. Like I say, we'll be doing a whole video on that. And animation is what's going to happen when the page loads. If you use a fade, it's going to fade in like that, slide, etc. And you've got some crazy ones like roll if you want to. If you can decide how crazy it wants to be with your animation, direction, duration, delay, and intensity is the one that it'll make it crazy. At the moment, it's on 50%. If I put it on 100%, as you can see, it's rolling a lot more or folding a lot more. But for me, it's a hero section. I just want it to be there. So I'm going to hit none on that. Fantastic. Well, we're pretty much done with this. But of course, being a hero section, I want it at the top of my page. At the moment, we added it just below our last thing, which was that contact form. So, easiest way to do this, you can grab it by its handle. Any section, row, or module has a handle you can grab it with and drag it where you want. But the easiest way with sections to move them, especially if you've got a lot of sections, we go down to our little purple button, make sure it's expanded like this. Little icon there just above my logo, right in the middle. It's called layers. You can grab a section, drag it up to where you want it, just like that. We know it's a full width section because it's purple in color. A regular section is blue in color. Now we've got the contact form on the bottom and our hero section on the top. Great. Okay, just before we save this and demo it, let's get the layers out of the way here. I said I'd show you how to make those buttons the same size. We've got to use a little bit of code for this. Like I say, this isn't really beginners, but it's kind of a handy thing for know that anybody wants to know it. Go into the module, our little hero section module here, full width header section. Let's go over to advanced. Going to go down to custom CSS. And don't panic, don't let that put you off. CSS is a wonderful thing. If you do something, it messes everything up, just delete it. It'll go back to how it was. You can't damage your site with CSS if you just delete what you've done. Module elements, little tab at the top here. If we roll down here, we've got something for just about every container on this field. So here's button 1. I'm going to say, what do we reckon that is? About 150, a bit more. I'm going to say make them 200 pixels. So I'm going to just type the word width, W-I-D-T-H. I'll put this code down below the video for anybody who wants to copy it. And a colon, and I'm going to make mine, say 200 pixels. 200 px, semicolon. That button's now 200 pixels wide. And I want my contact to be exactly the same width as that one. So all I'm going to do, select that, copy it, Control C. I'm going to paste it down below, or you can type it in again if you want to. Control V to paste. Now both of our buttons are exactly the same width. Fantastic. I think we're good to go. Let's save our little changes here. We'll save the page changes down here. Let's exit the Visual Builder. And here we have it. We've got our little hero section, which is going to load above the fold. Remember, the fold's the bit you can see from the bottom of the screen upwards. We've got our buttons. They're both the same width there. Got our little logo, title, subtitle, bit of text. Now we've got our little button down the bottom here. If I click on it, it takes you down to the section below. And that's a great thing to have on the front of your site. You see it all the time, little hero sections. So I hope you've enjoyed this today and found it useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, ring the bell, comment, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Don't forget, if you've got any questions, pop them down below the video. I'll do my best to answer them for you, or make a little demo video like this one. Once again, this has been Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.